Welcome back, everybody. If you're going through a divorce, it's very likely you'll work with a mediator to determine things like legal custody of kids and their physical placement.
Mediation may be used to settle financial circumstances as well. And here to help us understand today is Adam Bernander, who is a partner and family law attorney at Herrling Clark Law Firm. Nice to see you, Adam.
Hey, Adam.
Well, let's start with many times during divorce, husband and wife each have an attorney, but then there may also be a mediator involved. Is that pretty common now?
It is, and it's becoming more common. I mean, that's the short answer is yes, it's becoming more common. It allows people a little bit more control of their circumstances and, it takes the control and gets it back in their hands.
Okay. How does mediation work in the case of custody and placement issues?
It's very different than financial issues. So with respect to custody and placement issues, it's required by statute, and attorneys are typically not present. They're not present during those mediation sessions, and it's actually usually, for some reason, it's cheaper. I think it's probably because it's required by statute, so the county provides that service. So,
who are the mediators in these situations? What are their backgrounds?
It actually kind of depends county by county, but most mediators who handle the custody placement mediations are sometimes they're social workers. They're usually county employees who are employed just in that role to help people come up with those creative solutions.
What are some other advantages to use a mediator during divorce proceedings?
I mean, first of all, it saves you on attorney's fees typically, because while it is still an involved process and there still is a lot of preparation, most of the time the preparation for a mediation is less involved, or it's easier to do than it would be to prep for a complete litigation of a case. So it's usually quite a bit cheaper in attorney's fees, and also, I think I mentioned this before, but it allows the parties to have some control of the outcome themselves versus just putting their best foot forward and having a judge who is essentially a stranger to these people and especially to their children making all those decisions for their family. So
people can manage their expectations, though. Are there situations where mediation might not be appropriate?
Yeah, the statute actually that requires parties to participate in mediation for custody and physical placement specifically says it's not appropriate if there's serious allegations of domestic abuse. And sometimes, frankly, with respect to the financial mediation, there's a pretty large cost to it. So sometimes people, if they think, well, there's no way we're going to come to an agreement, I would rather just use my money towards a trial. So there are a few instances, but most of the time, mediation is much more successful than people give it credit for.
If we are using mediation, do we still then need a family law attorney expert such as yourself?
Yes, and there's a lot of prep that goes into it as well, because I think sometimes people will have, for the mediation to work, both parties have to have reasonable expectations. So sometimes people will go into it not really knowing what a potential outcome is at trial, so then they don't really know what to expect when they go through the mediation, or might, like I said, have unrealistic expectations. So it does really still help to have an advisor.
Well, as always, they are experts in this and so many other areas. Herrling Clark has offices in Appleton, Green Bay, Oshkosh, and Wapaka.
You can reach them at 920-739-7366 or online, herlingclark.com. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you, guys.